Okay, so hopefully this wasn't too horrible for you. Now, on the first one, as I copy the problem down, if you noticed, instead of just minus the parenthesis, I inserted my -1 because there is an invisible 1 before the parentheses, because this is like the one in the example where I need to distribute that -1 first. So -1 times 5, -1 times n, and -1 times 4n squared. Now I can put together the like terms. Okay, I have a 1n minus a 1n. Well, that just goes away. I have a 4 minus 5. That's a -1. And then I have a -4n squared. And there's no other n squared, and so I know that I'm finished. So that's how I would write my answer. Number 2, I'm going to drop the parentheses because there's nothing to distribute. And see how there's a plus sign on this other one? Well, that means that I can also drop the parentheses here because there was nothing to distribute to the inside. It was just a +1. Okay, so now there's an 8 and a 6. That makes 14. There's a -r and a -5r. That makes -6r's because that's a -1 right there, people. And then the only thing left is at the back, so I'll recopy it. Number 3, find each product. M minus 4 times 4m plus 1. So this is the FOIL, or the double distribute is what I like to think of. So I imagine that this isn't there, and I'm just going to take m and distribute it to both, okay? So that's a plus. So it's going to be m times 4m, which is 4m squared, then m times 1. Now I'm going to take the one on the inside and distribute it to both, like the second one. So -4 times -4 times 4m is -16m. -4 times 1 looks like that. And on these, remember, you're not done until you put these two terms in the middle together. So it's 4m squared. Okay, this is an invisible 1. So what's 1 minus 16? That would be -15m's minus 4. So it looks something like that. All right, number 4. I've got 4x minus 2, 5x plus 1. So I'm going to take the first one, distribute it to both. So 4 times 5 is 20. X times x is x squared. 4x times a +1. Then I move to the second number and distribute it. -2 times 5x is minus 10x. -2 times a +1 looks like that. Put the 2 in the middle together, and we're going to get, what's 4 minus 10? -6x. So it looks something like that. All right, solve each equation by factoring. Okay, so on this, I probably should change directions a little bit, because all I really want you to do is to practice factoring. And factoring is the goal of getting each of these into their own set of parentheses. So like numbers 5 and 6 are already factored. And so there was no undoing multiplication that needed to be done. I hope that I have sent you an email to let you know to make sure that the directions there don't say solve by factor, but they just say to factor. So on number 7, this is what you should be looking at. And if we want to factor, this is the thing where I'm trying to put it into the two sets of parentheses. So I need two numbers that multiply to make this number, but add to make this number. So what can multiply to make 5? How about 5 times 1? Okay, so 5 and a 1, and they need to add together to a -4. So how about a +1 and a -5? And the variable in the front is n, so I stick an n in the front of both of those. So hopefully you understood how I did that. I found two numbers that multiplied to make the last one and added to make this. And if you check my math, +1 times -5 is -5. +1 plus -5 is -4. So it does work. Number 8. Okay, so we don't really need the =0 part, so let's do parentheses and now I need two numbers that multiply here but add to this. So multiply, add. That may be a good memory trick. You could do AM, kind of like in the morning when people say it's 8 o'clock a.m. You could do AM. All right, so multiply. What times what? Okay, let's see. 32. Ugh, is that 8 and 4? Yep, 8 times 4 here is 8 plus 4, 12. Yes, it is. So I'm going to factor just like that. All right, number 9. P squared minus 7p minus 8 equals 0. So what I'm going to do is look for two numbers that multiply to this and add to this. So multiply to this number. How about 8 and 1? Now, it's a negative 8, so one of these has to be negative, okay? Now, which one is negative? Well, if I need a negative 7 in the middle, that one needs to be negative, and that one needs to be positive. There we go. All right, number 10. X squared minus 3x minus 18. So two numbers that multiply to make 18, it's either 9 times 2 or 6 times 3. Now I'm going to go with 6 and 3 because of this number in the middle, okay? So it's a 6 and a 3, but somebody has to be negative because that's negative. So what's going to add to make a negative 3? Would it be positive here, negative there? I think it will be this way, because a negative 6 plus a positive 3 is a negative 3 in the middle. Number 11, r squared plus 10r plus 24 equals 0. Parentheses, okay, now the variable is r, so I'll start like that. Okay, multiply to make this and add to make this. Okay, if you're thinking 12 times 2, that does work, but to make a 10 you would have to do a 12 with a negative 2, and that's not a minus, and that's not a minus, so that wouldn't work. So let me think of two other numbers. What about 6 and 4? Because 6 times 4 is 24, positive, and 6 plus 4 positive is a 10. So it's going to be that one. So if you messed up and chose 12 and 2, check your negatives out because it probably didn't work with the numbers in the problem. Okay, and then the last one. I need two numbers that multiply to make negative 8, but add to make negative 2. So what multiplies to make negative 8? How about a 4 and a 2, and one of them has to be negative since that's negative, and this number in the middle is negative, which means I need a negative 4 and a positive 2, because negative 4 plus positive 2 equals negative 2. So then I know I've done that one right. Okay, so this is usually done, factoring is usually like around March or April. So by the time you get there in the classroom, I don't want y'all to be upset if this was hard for you, because by the time you get there in the classroom, you will have been practicing integers like negatives and positives all year long, and you'll be much better with it and you'll be much faster with it. So if it was hard for you to figure out these numbers, by the time you do it, you will be completely okay. I just wanted you to get to see how it works so you have a little bit of a preview, okay? So that's it, guys, for the summer math. I hope it went well for you. I hope you learned something. I hope you gained some confidence. And if you need me, just let me know. My YouTube channel is Dawn Mink, and even though these videos this summer were private, on my page I have all kinds of problems. In fact, I worked out an entire EOC, or STAR test. So if you are taking the STAR test this year, I worked out, I think it was like the 2014 test, and it's free on my YouTube channel. So if you're nervous about that at the end of the year, please remember to go find me and look it up, and you can watch all kinds of stuff and be ready for it. So thanks a lot, guys. It was fun.